YouTube, hey there, it's Casey Dimon here, TaxSellAcademy.com. Thank you so much for joining me as I record this week's episode of the Tax Sell Podcast. As always, if you enjoy podcasts, check us out, TaxSellPodcast.com. Let's go ahead, switch on over and record that audio podcast right now. Welcome to the Tax Sell Podcast, where tax sell investing is made easy. My name is Casey Dimon. I'm a tax sell veteran. I am the leading tax sell expert. I'm the author of the Tax Sell Playbook. I'm the founder of the Tax Sell Academy, and I am your host right here on the Tax Sell Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me on today's podcast episode. This is a completely free podcast brought to you through and because of the Tax Sell Academy. All right, today's episode is going to be just a little bit different than most of our other episodes. I'm still talking about tax sell investing, of course, but I won't be diving into investment strategy, into research, or anything like that on today's episode. Instead, today I'm talking about designing your tax sell business the way that you want to. So about a decade or so ago, there's a book that was released that really changed the way that I viewed operating a business. That book is called The 4-Hour Workweek and is written by Tim Ferriss. Now, before I continue, I should note here, there are plenty of things that I don't agree with in that book. In fact, I'm not even sure that I would suggest that book to most people. Regardless, I do enjoy learning other people's perspective on life, on business, and everything else. Learning from somebody else's perspective that you might not even agree with can still help to broaden your own viewpoints. And that's exactly what happened to me. The large majority of the world, at least here in the United States, are so accustomed to the typical work day and work style. And what I mean by this is that you feel as if you should be working 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, and you need some sort of dedicated workspace that you have to go to every single day. Maybe that's your office, or your cubicle, or your work truck, whatever it is. That is your place that you feel you must be at in order to work. And perhaps it's out of necessity. Especially as an employee, you're expected to be in that one place at this specific time, right? Now, as you enter the investment world, whether you're full-time or part-time, you are in fact becoming your own boss. You are the one that makes the rules. For the first decade of my business, I was my own boss who also treated myself as an employee that must follow some very strict rules. Now, obviously, a certain level of discipline is very, very necessary to succeed as an entrepreneur. But in my case, I worked 8 to 5. I took a lunch break exactly at 12, and I was back in my seat at my desk at 12:30, Monday through Friday. I went to a rented office space every single day where my desk and my phone were, and they were waiting on me. And I would get on my computer and I would answer the phone just like I was supposed to, right? Vacations, they were rare. And when I did go on vacations, I felt extremely guilty because I wasn't sitting at that desk like I thought I was supposed to be. Now, that level of discipline is probably better than the ultra carefree alternative because you must have that discipline, of course, to succeed. You must make progress in what you're doing. But what happened was, it still left me somewhat handcuffed to that schedule. And then one week I left town to attend a few auctions. I was at a hotel. I went up to the desk in my hotel room and I was having some internet issues. So I went downstairs to log onto the internet in the lobby. They had a nice lounge area. They had a fire going. They had some light Christmas music playing in the background. And about an hour in, I realized I'm working, but I'm not working from my office during normal business hours. Instead, I'm working from a random place in a random city at a random time. And I was functioning just fine. In the years since that time, my approach to business has really, really evolved. And fortunately, because of the business that we are in, we have many different options to take. And we can become more and more flexible every single year because of technology. So in today's episode, I'm going over a few ways that we're able to be flexible in this business and a few ways that you can design the tax sell business that suits your lifestyle the best. Now, if you want to go full-time in this business and you need a rented office space to be in at 9 a.m. every single morning until 5 in the afternoon, and you want to set a dress code for yourself or whatever it is, that is perfectly okay. Whatever works for you. If you're a part-time investor and you need to make it work, maybe when you're not working your normal job, again, that's perfectly fine. The entire idea with this episode is to show you a few of the different angles and approaches that you can take in this business and still be successful. What you feel works best for you is in fact what works best for you. Don't take my approach or anybody else's approach and try to force it. Do what makes you happy. That's all that matters at the end of the day. Hopefully, this episode provides just a few ideas that you can apply to your business. It does not mean you have to be in Tahiti sitting on the beach as you invest, but perhaps a light bulb goes off that maybe you can work from your car during your lunch break, for example, if you work a full-time job elsewhere. So hopefully, this gives you some ideas. Now, as I look back over the last year, when you really begin to think about it, the majority of businesses have shifted their models as a result of COVID. This shift in business models, in my opinion, was on the horizon, and COVID simply served to speed it up by 10 or maybe even 5 years. Zoom doctor's appointments? That's the normal in many areas now. Office workers went from cubicles to home office. Even court cases are now heard via video calls. As a tax law investor, we have so much freedom when you take the time to really search for it. Let's start out with the first steps and expand by there. When it comes to learning about this business, there are a number of different ways. While we can still go into the county and we can read all their information and maybe even pick their brains, the smarter, more efficient method is through utilizing the internet. Either digging through it yourself or by joining a training program like the one that I have developed. This can be done from literally anywhere in the world as long as you have an internet connection. I have students from Australia, Switzerland, Canada, Brazil, Hong Kong, Greece, Qatar, and another dozen countries, including the US, of course, that are all learning about this business through their smartphone, through their tablet, through their computer, or a number of other electronic means. If you want to learn, you can do so from anywhere, at any time, at any pace that you desire. There isn't much more flexibility than that. Now, as we begin the actual process of tax law investing, we have to think about research. When it comes to research, we have a plethora of resources at our disposal. Now, when I first got into this business, I remember one of the very first purchases that I made was buying a book for like some insane amount of money, like $150 or something. And this book was a spiral book that listed every single street in the county inside it. It was like a big map of the county that was cut down into letter-sized pieces of paper. So you went from this street, you went over, flipped the page, went over, and you kept following it on that book. You just kept flipping the pages to get to where you wanted to go. So in order to locate a property, for example, you needed the address. Then you would flip to that property in your book until you found it. And a lot of times you would mark it with a pencil and drive out there as you're flipping through this book. An insane process when I look back at it. If it was a vacant piece of property that didn't have an address, oh boy, that's when you went to the county office, you pulled a plat map for the subdivision, then you looked into your spiral map book, and eventually you drove out there hoping that the roads in that map book actually existed. Just insane. Now, when we compare that to modern day, the differences are just astonishing. In just the past week, I have researched properties while I'm sitting at the gym, while I am parked in front of the property that I am researching, while on vacation, while eating dinner, and I'm sure many other times that I didn't even think about. Now, obviously, flipping through my iPhone is kind of cursory type review, but the point is that we can research properties at any time we want to, from anywhere we want to, as long as we have internet connection, and most importantly, as long as we know what we are looking for. Now, once you get to a higher level, there will be times where you cannot be in every single place and you can't do everything that you want to do. In other words, you need help. You need employees, or do you? So a number of years ago, I had a staff of 17 people. Not only was it incredibly expensive, it was also a full-time job managing staff and managing the managers. Today, I have a staff of 1, with an additional assistance from a couple of other people on an as-needed basis. So I get a lot of brand new investors asking me, should I just hire somebody to research the properties for me? The deal is your research determines how your investments will do. So I never suggest that you put all of your trust and your money into somebody else's hands, especially when you're paying that person probably a nominal amount. If you must do that, if you feel you have to get help, then hire somebody to do the very basic part of the research, to begin compiling your list, and maybe even just helping you organize the list into perhaps a spreadsheet, and then go back and double check their research while performing the deeper and the necessary research that will ultimately decide what and how much you invest into something. With that said, let me be very clear. Unless you are actively investing more than $5 or $10 million a year, large staffs are not necessary today, mostly because we're able to operate so much more efficiently by leveraging the tools at our disposal. Instead of going out and seeking a whole bunch of help to help you research properties, instead learn how to use the tools that are at your disposal more efficiently. Now, when you do hire help, we can do that usually through an independent contractor arrangement, provided that help, of course, will fit your criteria. This will help you eliminate payroll taxes and all sorts of other hurdles that employers must deal with, and often comes at a lower total price. Now, I might have an assistant that helps me on a daily basis, but let's just say I need somebody that can help me go through a list of 500 properties and take that list and put it into a spreadsheet. What I can do then is I can hire somebody from a number of different online sites. I can record a quick video showing them how to do it, and I can pay them maybe $5-10 an hour, depending on what country they're from, to do that work for me. And then I wake up one day, it's done. It's a very, very easy process when you know what you're doing. Now, when we talk about something that requires a physical presence, such as driving by a property, this can also be done much cheaper than you might realize. It does not require a flight, a rental car, and a hotel if you're investing on the other side of the country. Instead, it simply requires you logging into a website like Craigslist, making a post, and sending somebody $5 or $10 through Venmo. And oh yeah, you can do this from anywhere, anytime. Flexibility in help is an absolute game changer when you begin to leverage technology. If you need help, find the appropriate sites online to get that help, and I guarantee you it'll make your life so much easier. And it's probably not going to cost nearly as much as you think, and it'll allow you to operate much more efficiently. All right, let's talk about auctions now. Over the last year, I have personally seen dozens of counties transition from in-person only auctions to online auctions in just the counties that I invest in. And I imagine there are plenty of others that have transitioned as well in areas where I don't actively invest. Just this morning, I was talking to a friend who was curious about competition levels. Sure, there's more competition right now than, say, 2010. Those are different parts of the market cycles. But those are also different times in this business. Online auctions are becoming the norm now. So while more people will have access to these online auctions simply because they are more convenient, the difference is instead of being able to go to just one auction a day or maybe one auction a week, I can now easily see 9 or 10 times the amount of property sold simply by opening up my laptop. This translates to more deals and ultimately more money. Don't get me wrong, I'm still a huge fan of traveling to in-person only auctions where great deals can be had. But at the end of the day, if I can open my laptop and I can attend 5 auctions in one afternoon and see 300 properties sold from anywhere in the world, as long as I have my computer and the internet, that's a pretty good bang for your buck. And of course, when we talk about selling, We can also do that from anywhere in the world. In fact, the large majority of properties that I sell require absolutely zero physical presence. No signs, no showings, no remodels, none of that stuff. Now, obviously, you can do that stuff if you enjoy it. There's a lot of people that enjoy the remodel process. But if I can sell a property from 1,000 miles away while doing something that I enjoy, like teaching new tax sale investors about this business, then it makes my entire life so much more enjoyable, and it fulfills me a whole lot more than having to meet some stranger at a property to open the door and listen to them complain about that property, right? I don't want to show properties unless I absolutely have to. And by utilizing the internet, we can really take our marketing to different levels. When you approach your marketing correctly initially, you can also design your business that will require very, very minimal long-term marketing. Here's what I mean. If you start building a buyer's list from day number one, and I've got podcasts about this, but if you start from day number one, you will eventually be able to know exactly which properties your list wants, and then you can buy those properties and turn right around and sell those properties within a matter of days or even sooner in some scenarios. Listen, the purpose of this episode was to help you realize that the world that we live in today provides a tremendous amount of options to us. 20 years ago when I started, I would have never envisioned myself with the absolute freedom to enjoy my life while working as an investor. My suggestion is that you take just a few of the ideas and concepts that we discussed today, combine them with your own ideas and your own concepts of how your lifestyle should be, and then see if you can apply all this to your business in a way that makes your business profitable, but also makes you happy. In the end, most people don't really want to be stuck inside of an office all day long. And as a tax sale investor in 2021, the tools that we have at our disposal are endless. The possibilities that we have in this business are also endless. So approach it with an open mind and design your business in a way that makes you happy from day number one. Nobody wants to be miserable in any business. Listen, I truly hope that you've enjoyed today's episode, and hopefully it has enlightened you just a little bit about how we can create a business that suits our desires instead of simply falling into an operation that we think we should be falling into. If this episode did help you at all, please do me a huge favor and leave us some positive feedback on whatever podcasting platform you're listening to us on right now. And if you're looking to learn more about this incredible business, including how to design it to fit your desired lifestyle, there are a whole bunch of helpful links in today's show notes. Or you just head on over to taxsaleacademy.com and become a member of the Academy for our most comprehensive tax sale investment training. Thank you so much for listening. Take care and make it a successful day. See ya.